Ohio State kind of fell into the trap this game. They fell into the trap, but we have to do a lot of things different than what we're good at, and they're good at getting Jeremiah Smith the ball. I think you're good enough to beat a team like this. I thought from a matchup standpoint, you had a lot of green checks on your side of the ball. I think Quinn Ewers is a mediocre quarterback, and I think you saw that today, and that can only take you so far. It's the reason you only scored 14 points against these guys. Texas had every opportunity to win this football game. Mm-hmm. And we go back, and what is Texas not being able to do even throughout the season? They don't know how to finish people. Right? They just don't know how to go to the Arizona State game, go to the Georgia games. Even when they won that, they gave Georgia ample opportunities to come back and win. So I'm not surprised by this. I'm just surprised that Ohio State, even without getting their best player of the football, can still come out here and not play that good and win by 14.
Yeah, and so for people who may be watching this tomorrow who didn't get to check out the game live, you're looking at it, final score 28-14, and you say, oh, okay, well, look, they covered the spread easily. They beat Texas by 2 touchdowns. With 3 minutes left in the game, it's 21-14. Texas first and goal at the 1-yard line, and strip sack fumble after just terrible red zone play calling from my perspective. Jack Sawyer, the senior who came back for this, of these Buckeyes seniors who came back, the transfers who came in, Quinshon Judkins played his tail off. Caleb Downs with the interception to seal it at the end. Huge guys who transferred in from the SEC. Texas 1 yard away from tying up the football game with 3 minutes left. Instead, strip, fumble recovery. Jack Sawyer takes it over 80 yards to 28-14. And the score looks a little worse than it was. But like you said, Jeremiah Smith really a non-factor. So we just saw world beaters against Tennessee, world beaters against Oregon. Not so much the case today. It looked a little tougher, right? It looked kind of like the way that the Buckeyes were playing against Michigan. But again, Texas's defense, hats off to them. Texas defense gave them a chance to win the game. And Quinn Ewers in this offense just couldn't get anything going, man.
Yeah, and that's how it's been somewhat the entire year against certain teams. Like the offense struggles to get done what they need to get done. If I'm Texas's defense, I'm sick. You played hell 4 quarters. Other than one play before half, you played a lights-out football game, and your offense is not good enough with Steve Sarkeesian, with all the talent receivers, with 2 good running backs, to not put up more than 14 points against the Ohio State team, who we have seen defense give up a certain amount of points against them. I mean, Oregon dropped 30-plus against them. So it's like Ohio State has looked the most beatable they've looked the entire playoffs, right? Ohio State, I want to say Texas defense played good, but you have to give them their flowers. But if I'm Notre Dame, I look at this game, I say, okay, there's stuff we can use there on our side tactically walking into the national championship game to stop Ohio State. But I will say this, it must be nice when you have a guy like Jeremiah Smith and Mbuka played good, but Jeremiah Smith did nothing, to have a receiver, your third receiver, and Tate to come up and show up and play like the way he did.
Especially after he dropped the touchdown on the RPO.
Early.
Yeah. Okay, again, no one's surprised to see that the Buckeyes beat Texas the way that things have been heading here. But if you're Texas, you have to be absolutely sick to lose the football game like this. And look, we can talk, ad nauseum about what Steve Sarkeesian's going to do moving forward. Obviously, he's always going to have NFL interest. It's similar to Jim Harbaugh. Every offseason, the rumors start swirling. Is Steve Sarkeesian going to go try his hand to be a head coach in the NFL, or is he going to remain at Texas? The only reason I bring it up right here in the final moments of this Cotton Bowl is because the narrative is, well, you got Arch Manning. You got this star quarterback who's setting you up for the future. And yet in big moments when Quinn Ewers is struggling, we don't even see Arch Manning. He had one play in this football game. The most crucial on 4th and 1, he gets you a first down. Why isn't he being peppered into the game plan more? Why isn't he being used when you're down there at the goal line to give you a big body quarterback so that you can run some zone read, run some Q power?
I don't know. And the crazy thing about it is we saw Arch Manning less as the playoffs went on. And it sounded like Arch Manning came in there and just did a terrible job. He's done an okay job, and you're not asking him to do too much. But I am surprised by Steve, but I don't think Steve is going to go to the NFL.
So Steve Sarkeesian will be the head coach at Texas next season?
I believe so.
Okay.
I think the Arch Manning era has begun. If I'm Quinn Ewers, I don't know why I'd go into the draft. You're not going to be a first day pick. You're probably not going to be a second day pick. I'd be surprised if you're a third day pick.
Well, it's very interesting to me right now because this quarterback class, it's one of the weaker that I've seen. I mean, again, we can't just compare it to last year.
But that doesn't mean you should go.
No, I know that. But, I mean, last year, 6 quarterbacks go in the top 12 picks? And not just go. I'm seeing them lead teams to the playoffs, man. I mean, even Bo Nix is balling. Forget about, like, Jaden Daniels. Even Michael Penix Jr. gets named the starter in Atlanta. That quarterback class, that was like kind of a 1984 type class. They're going to be special for a long time. This year, we've already seen Carson Beck say, I'm not going to go to the NFL. He commits to Miami. We talked about this last night. So he's going to get, $4 million or whatever to go to Miami. There's some other guys who are going to have to make up their mind. Quinn Ewers, to me, I agree with you. Like, I don't think just because it's a down year in the quarterback class that you somehow then go to the NFL. He hasn't even stayed healthy for a complete college football season. I know I keep making that point, but it's not even so much about the fragility. It's about he sacked himself a couple times in this game. The guy that I saw beat Nick Saban in Alabama and Tuscaloosa last year, the guy I saw with my own eyes in person in Michigan against that defense, and they're going to have 3 first-round picks on defense. That's not the guy who we saw later in the season. I don't know if he's just having trouble seeing what's going on. I know Jake brought up at halftime, and he brings up a lot that Quinn Ewers can't really create with his legs, but it's more than that. I like the point you bring up a lot, which is like he's just not moving in the pocket that way.
No, like you have to, if you're not a runner, you have to have at least good feel in the pocket, right? If you're a pocket passer, you need good feel in the pocket. Quinn Ewers will be playing for another team next year in college. Quinn Ewers will be going in the transfer portal. There's no reason for him to go into the draft. He's not going to be a high day pick. You're not going to make more money just because it's a weak quarterback class. Quinn Ewers is going to transfer because, one, the fans aren't going to wait on Quinn to really figure it out with a name like Arch Manning behind him. The Arch Manning era has begun. It's already begun. It began when he came in and started running a couple plays. People saw it. People want it now. Quinn Ewers will be playing for a different team in college.
Okay, so that's the recap of this Cotton Bowl. Again, this one lived up to the hype, right?
Yeah.
We got
Both
to
of them
see
did.
2 awesome semifinal games.